Hey everyone, welcome to my first YouTube video. My name is Nandini and I'm a seasoned data scientist with 7 years of experience working with tech giants like Google and LinkedIn. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down SQL for beginners. And when I say beginners, I mean absolute beginners. I expect no form of prior coding knowledge. Everything that we're going to cover today is going to be on the basis that you know absolutely nothing about coding. So what can you expect in this tutorial today? First, learn how to set up SQL in your own systems like a boss. The next thing that we're going to cover is about your dataset journey. Over here, I'm going to try to empower you all to find your own dataset. Find the data that you want to work with. Find the data that inspires you. Find the data that you are most engaged by and motivated by. Say goodbye to boring datasets. Enough of just picking up data sets that everybody else is working with. Take control of your data science journey. Be motivated to learn and analyze what you want to analyze. So this is what we're going to cover next. How do you find the data set that you want to work with? Now the last step of this tutorial is going to be to teach you all on how to import the data set that you want to work with into your SQL systems. So now that I've set up the expectation for this video, let's not waste any more time and let's get straight to it. So let's get started with the step-by-step instructions on how to set up MySQL in your systems. I'm currently using a Mac OS and the processes I'm following are for that a Mac OS operating system. But that being said, it is actually very similar irrespective of the operating system that you're working on, whether it's Windows or Linux or anything else. I'll also be sharing some YouTube links in my description below that you can refer to if you're using a different OS. But like I said, the process is extremely similar. There's just probably a few minor differences, and I think that's very easy to navigate through. Alright, so how do we set up MySQL in your systems? So first things first, we need to go to the official MySQL downloading page. So just write MySQL download on Google, click on the official MySQL web page and just go to the download tab over here. Once you get there, just scroll down until you see this MySQL Community GPL downloads, and it takes you to this page where there's a list of different MySQL downloads that are relevant. However, what we are most concerned with is just two of these downloads. One is this MySQL community server that we need, and the second thing that we need is this MySQL Workbench. This MySQL Workbench is essentially your front-end client. It's basically your interface or this UI that you will be interacting with, where you'll be writing your query and seeing your results, etc. So essentially you need them both. You need both MySQL community server and the MySQL Workbench. First, I'll walk you all through the steps of downloading the MySQL community server and setting it up in your systems. And then we can go over how to download the MySQL Workbench. All right, so first things first, go to MySQL community server. It takes you to this page. Select the operating system that you are working with. So for me, it's a Mac OS. If you're working with Microsoft Windows, just select Microsoft Windows and download this zip file. I am, however, using the Mac OS, so I will select the Mac OS, and for me, I need this DMG archives. I'll just go ahead and select this. It takes you to this page where you can just download it. So just click on no thanks to start my download, and the downloading process starts over here. It takes a couple of minutes for the downloading to complete, and once that's done, just go to your download folder and find this file. Alright, so now you can see that the MySQL community server.dmg file download has been completed. So I want to go to my folders and go to the download folder and click on this .dmg file that I've downloaded. This extension may change based on the operating system that you are working with. So whatever has been downloaded, just click on that. Once you click on that, for me, since it's a Mac OS, I have this .pkg file. I'll just click on that as well. It's a very streamlined, straightforward process. So I would say go ahead, click on next, continue until the installation is complete. So I'm going to allow the software to be installed. I'm going to click on continue, agree to all the terms and services after you've read it. Again, continue installing it. Give your laptop password over here. Once that's done, let's just go ahead and install the software. It may take a couple of minutes again. Alright, so it looks like the MySQL server installation is complete. So let's go ahead and close this, and any files that are not required anymore, you can just move to the bin anyway. Awesome. So now that we've finished completing the installation of the MySQL community server, next thing that I spoke to you all about is we also need the MySQL workbench. One thing I want to call out over here is while you were continuing the installation of the MySQL community server, there will also be one step in between where they'll ask you to enter the root password for MySQL. So over here, you can go ahead and enter whatever password that you want, and just remember this password because every time you open MySQL workbench, they may ask you for it. But this is a password that you can set up and set it up as however you'd like it. All right, so that's just one thing I missed. All right, so now let's go back to the MySQL community downloads. We finished the installation of MySQL community server, so now we want to go to the MySQL workbench. Again, for me, it's a Mac OS. Whoever has Microsoft Windows, they can select the MSI installer. Like I said, I just need the DMG files. So for the MySQL workbench also, I'm going to click on download. No thanks to start my download, and this downloading is also going to take a few minutes, and we'll wait for that to get completed. So now that the MySQL workbench.dmg file has also been completed, let's just click on the .dmg file, and there's this option here for the Mac OS where you just have to drag the MySQL workbench icon to the application folder. This is just the way of the system to understand that MySQL is also now a part of one of the Mac applications. Similarly, there will be other processes for Windows and other OSs. Just go ahead and do that. Once the MySQL workbench has been added to your application, this process is also over. So now you have both the MySQL community server and the workbench installed in your system. Now let's go ahead and open this. All right, so I'm looking for MySQL workbench. I am going to open it and let's see how this looks. All right, so this is the first look of how the MySQL workbench will look like when you first open it. You can go ahead and select on this local instance, and over here you can just enter the password that you set up earlier during the root password setup while you were installing the MySQL community server. Click on OK. And there you go. This is the window where we'll be writing our queries. In the next few minutes, I'm going to talk to you all about how to find the right data source. And once you find the right data source, how to set up this data source inside the MySQL systems and then work with the data source. So now that we've set up MySQL in your system, both the server and the workbench, so now you have the UI to work with. The next thing that is important for you to even work on these platforms is the data set itself, right? Now, this is the part where I empower you all to find the data set that you are interested in. Are you interested in stock? Let's go ahead and find a stock market data set. Are you interested in a general retail data set? Let's do that. Are you interested in a movie-based data set, music-based data set, sports data set? It doesn't matter what kind of data you want to work with. That's absolutely up to you. If you have an industry in mind or if you have a specific interest in mind, go ahead and find the data set that inspires you, because that is what's most important in this whole learning journey and this learning process, because you need to be motivated throughout the entire thing. So here, let me tell you how to find your dream data set, for the lack of better words. So the best place for you all to go over here to find open source data sets is go to this website called as www.kaggle.com. That is KAGGLE.com. Go to the datasets option, and you can see by default there are a bunch of datasets that are presented to you. So you have some trending datasets here, which is one dataset is regarding game information dataset. This is for the gamers out there. There's another dataset regarding renewable energy and weather condition. There are specific datasets for sports, IPL statistics, WPL India. Then there are a bunch of health datasets, pregnancy datasets. There'll be COVID datasets that are available to you. There are some datasets on Egyptian doctors. There are software-related dataset, food-related dataset, travel-related dataset. So let's say, for example, you are interested in analyzing Nifty 50 stocks, right? So you can just write Nifty 50, see what datasets are available, and just go ahead and open it. So for my purpose, I would like to download a retail data set, because for me, I believe, especially when it comes to teaching, retail data set has a lot of diversity in terms of the kind of data it has and the kind of analytics you can do with it, which is why I'm going to choose a retail data set. But like I said, it's up to you all to choose the data set that you are interested in. For example, you can clearly see here there is a Spotify and YouTube data set, Netflix movie. There's also an IMDb top 1,000 movies with description data set. So there's no limit, right? Like, just find what you're interested in and work with the data that inspires you. All right, so in my case, I want a sample Superstore dataset, which is a very common demo retail dataset. So I'm just going to go ahead and look at this Superstore dataset. And over here, the metadata clearly defines what each of these columns means. You can see that this is a .csv file, and we have the row ID, order date, ship mode, customer ID, country, city, etc. A bunch of different columns available to you. Let's go ahead and download this data set. So it usually downloads as a .zip file. So we can just go to the downloads folder, open the .zip file, and we can get the .csv file also present over here. So this is how your data set is looking like, and this is the data set that we are going to be working with in the future sessions as well. So like I said, feel free to use the data set that inspires you, and try to implement the things that we are talking about during the video in your own data set. First things first, let's open MySQL Workbench, and let's click on this local instance. If you've saved the password, they may not ask you for your password. Otherwise, they may ask you for the root password that you set up while you were installing the MySQL server. And once you've set up the password, you'll get an interface like this. So first, we want to explore how to create a schema where you can store your table. The steps are pretty simple on MySQL. All you're going to do is click on this cylinder icon with the plus sign. Once you click on this, you get the schema editor window opened for you. You can give the schema name that you want. In my case, since I'm working with a retail dataset, I'm just going to call it retail schema, but it's up to you how you want to choose your schema name. After I give the schema name, I'm going to click on apply over here. And you can see again, there's the default script that they wrote to create your schema, which is just pretty simple. It's create schema and you give the schema name. But MySQL did it by default over here. You can just click on apply, and you can see over here that the SQL statement has been executed and the script has been successfully applied to your database. Once that is done, just go ahead and close this window. And let's go to the schemas option over here. You can now see that there is this new schema over here called as retail. If you click on this small arrow next to retail, you will see a list of options under retail. The first thing that we want to do is we want to create a table where we will be importing your data set, right? So just right click on the tables under the schema that you've created, and then click on Table Data Import Wizard. Once you click on Table Data Import Wizard, you can just browse for the file that you've downloaded as a CSV format. So in this case, I'm just going to browse, and this is the file that I want to import in my system. Let's just go ahead and open it. Sometimes the window closes automatically, no problem. Just again right click, click on Table Data Import Wizard. You see that this file path is already there by default. Click on Next. You can see that this is the new table name, which is basically retail. That's your schema name, dot demo store data. You can change the name as you wish. So I'm just going to call it store data. Once you've created the table name, just click on Next. And you can see that all the columns have been listed one by one below, and it has also identified the data type of each of the columns. For example, it's identified that order ID is text, customer name is text, category is text, city is text, etc. If you feel any data type has been misclassified, you can just click on the drop down and choose the data type that you want. For example, if it's a number, you can just choose int or big int. If it's a date format, a variable like an order date, etc., you can just choose the datetime format, and so and so. Once that is done, just go ahead and click on Next. And again, just click on next. Just wait a few seconds for the data import to take place. Based on the size of your data, the time might differ. We can now see that the importing has been complete. Just click on next, and you can see here that the table retail.store data was created, and this table has about 9994 records imported. Just go ahead and click on finish, and we finally have the table inside retail. So now that we've completed with the importing of the table, we need to first check if the table has successfully been imported. Sometimes you may need to quit the SQL workbench and reopen it again to see it, but essentially you need to go to schemas, and then this is the schema that we created. Look for the schema that you created, click on the drop down, go to tables. Now you see that there's a drop down option here as well. Now you can officially see that the table that you've imported is present over here. If you click on the table drop down, you see that there are a few attributes like columns, index, foreign keys, triggers, etc. If you click on the columns drop down, you get to see all the columns that are part of this table, and you know that at least the structure of the table is available to you. In today's video, we are just going to do one simple SQL command. In the future videos, we're going to cover all the other more complex data manipulation commands and how we can do more complex data analytics on SQL. But for today, all we want to do is run one simple SQL command to test if your SQL workbench and server is working properly, test if your data has been imported properly, and test if you're able to see the result after a successful import. So for this, what you got to do is go to query 1 over here, and you get a window like this. Write select star from retail.store data, which is basically the schema name dot the table name. Once you write this command, just click on the lightning button over here to see if you're getting an output. Here we can clearly see that we are able to get an output. These are the headers for the table, and this is how the results look like. Any further data manipulation commands we are going to cover in the future videos, so wait for it. I'm looking forward to seeing you all there in my next video. But for now, I hope you guys were able to successfully download and install MySQL Server, install MySQL Workbench in your systems. After that, I hope you were able to find the data set that you want to work with, that you are inspired by, and the data set that you want to analyze on. Download this data set as a CSV file, and you were able to complete the process by importing this data set into your SQL workbench and successfully run your first simple SQL query. This is all we have for today. I am very excited to see you all in my next video, where we are going to learn more about how to manipulate data using SQL, how to analyze data using SQL. We are going to start small, we are going to start simple, and then slowly move on to more complex stuff. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.